Aren't we starting?
Yeah, we're on air. All right, go.
Alright, so should I state the rules or something?
Duh.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Okay, so the rules are quite simple. You will each have 2 minutes to respond to a question. You will have opening statements. That will take 2 minutes long. If any opponent wishes to reply to what somebody said, they have 1.5 minutes to respond. If anyone else wants to say anything else around that said question, they can say it as they please. But we will have to move on eventually. And at the end, there will be 5 minutes of open floor debate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Quite simple.
Right. So.
Oh yeah, and there's no interrupting your opponents. That's very important.
All right.
Opening statements.
Just here. Go
first. Is this between me and the current president?
It's between you, Jazeer, and Mayowa.
Just here. Opening statement. Just here. All right, Mark, go ahead.
So
I need to get my timer.
So what I want to say is I feel like Jazeer is leading this country towards the far left. I feel like she's leading this country far from the center.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Anything else about why we should elect you, maybe?
Well, one, I feel like more of my agenda is practical, and one, my type of conservatism is practical. It's not, I'm a conservative, yet I'm more Ronald Reagan.
Okay, well, your time's up anyway.
Right, is it my turn?
Yes, you may begin.
Good evening, Americans. I'm so happy to be here tonight to talk about why I should be elected president. Now, I won't bore you for too long. I want to get straight to the point. I am just going to first talk about why I'm running as an independent, and that is because I'm not going to let myself be chained to the two-party decision. Now, running for president isn't a decision I made overnight. It's a decision that I thought about for weeks upon end. I've decided that I can't stand idly by as our country is missing great opportunities to benefit the people of this beautiful nation. Under the current administration, education policy is a shambles. Foreign policy is non-existent, as in addition to the fact that cybersecurity is completely ignored. Under an Olabode administration, the future would be at the forefront of our policies. We would focus on how our country is changing and how we can change it for the betterment of the American people. We plan to revamp the education system so that it is fit to the modern day and prepares children for a wide variety of different types of work, not just factory work in the 1800s. We need a future for every single one of our children. A vital aspect of this is helping them pursue whatever career they may wish to pursue, from an entrepreneur to an actor, from an engineer to an athlete. If we can execute this correctly, the future will be much brighter for our children. Not only that, but business growth is an important part of the economy. So to encourage more young people to become aspiring entrepreneurs, an Olabode administration was set up a new government scheme that could give $1,500 grants to people under the age of 30 who have a clear vision for their business and how it will help their local community. I would also legalize and regulate medicinal and recreational marijuana. This will bring thousands of jobs to our economy and create a new tax that can be used to fund vital services to protect our people. Over the past decades, various forms of technology, and in particular, those connected with the internet, have become integral to our
Your time's
day-to-day
up.
lives. Okay, let me just conclude. I will create a cybersecurity department, and if elected, and thank you for listening, and good luck to the other candidates.
All right, Jazir.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
And Mark, and thank you.
Yeah, I can hear.
I'm running. Well, as you know, I've served as your president. Running for re-election because the bold legislation we've proposed has been successful, and we need more time to build more jobs, save. We've promised higher quality food for our children in public schools, and we've achieved those three things. First, I want to comment on Mark's opening statement. What he lead the country in a direction. Working on a plan that will and to clean energy within the next 25 years.
I'm not sure if it's anyone else, but I can't hear a word that you're saying because you keep cutting in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
a bit better.
Jobs over the next 5 years, 2 million jobs. I'm proud of that bill, and I hope to propose more like it. Thank you.
I would.
Can we have the first question?
Talking dog. Talking dog.
Oh wait, sorry. That wasn't working. Yeah.
First question of the day.
All right, sorry. I didn't know I was on mute. So the first question, what are your views on the current president, and what do you think could be changed for the better? And for the current president, what do you think you can continue to do, and why do you think what you've been doing is better than what your opponents would do? I guess we should start with Jazir now. Jazir.
Oh, well, my views on the current president are pretty good. I like her. I think she's done a lot of good work. No, I'm just playing. As president, I think I have done a good job. I think I have represented progressive Democrats. I think maybe that could be about my Senate, but I will not blame the slow progress on the House and Senate. There was a time where I was inactive during my presidency, and I apologize for that. But we've moved past.
I'd hate to say it, but you're cutting out.
Someone to sponsor it.
Yeah, I think if you put like a microphone, like some earphones in or something for a microphone, it might be a bit better.
I think my opponent and my primary challenger, Mark, I think his views on me, my presidency, and my administration vice president a pawn. He's called me. Said some pretty insulting things. Administration. I don't appreciate it. The American people don't appreciate it, and ultimately, it's not gaining him any votes. Thank you.
I have farm values, and I'm getting those rural areas.
Where did you find that information?
I'm kind of like a William Jennings Bryan.
I'm sorry, what?
I can't hear a word either are saying.
Me either.
I'm kind of like a William Jennings Bryan.
You are now.
I'm a conservative populist.
Populist, so you represent a majority of people?
I represent the majority of conservatives.
Representative, I don't think you understand my point.
You've
Just to clarify, the question was, what are your views on the current president, not what are your views and are you a populist? So I'm going to restate the question to you, Mark. What are your views on the current president? You have 2 minutes to respond. I'm timing you.
Well, I don't agree with issues. Like, I have a negative view of her, partly ignoring us conservatives. She's for the people, but then when she showing that she's for all the people.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Mayo, I guess we should start with you now. You can begin your 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. Those were 4 minutes that I couldn't really hear much of what was going on, but I did pick out a few key words, just from Mark and Jazir about who they represent, and Jazir seemed to go on about how she represents progressive Democrats, and Mark seemed to go on about how he represents conservatives. Under an Olabode presidency, I would represent all Americans. Now, just to answer the question now, I think the Jazir Best presidency hasn't been too bad. I think it's been okay. But I want America to be more than okay. I want it to be excellent. A thing that has been completely ignored under Jazir Best presidency is cybersecurity policy. Now, as I mentioned in my opening statement, cybersecurity is very, very important. Over the last few decades, devices have become more and more integral to our day-to-day life. So if a massive cyber attack were to happen and take down all of our services, our healthcare, our fire service, our police department, we would be left stranded, and we can't let that happen. So under an Olabode administration, I would create a department of cybersecurity to prevent this. This is one of the many, many ways in which I plan to further our country and protect it and make sure we not make America great again, but make sure we have a better future for tomorrow. Thank you.
All right.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think America we can't make within just 4 years. It takes time to get America going on the path we've begun. We've invested $1 trillion in our infrastructure. We've created 2 million jobs. We've invested into that every man, woman, and child has the health care they need. And that is what that is.
I have to leave now. Goodbye.
All right. Well, now it's just between Mark and Jezier now. Mark, do you want to say anything about the question and the responses from your opponents?
Well, I feel like I'm going to ask the same question.
Hold on, Miss just joined.
I'm going to ask the same question that Ronald Reagan said in 1980. Are you guys better than you are 4 years ago?
Well, can I respond to his question?
Yeah.
We 4 years ago, in private and local governments invested more in private institutions than they did into public institutions. We have reversed that. Everyone has health care, which wasn't talked about 4 years ago, and have that kind of health care 4 years into our infrastructure, 2 million more jobs. And with the recent crisis in New York, we were able to take every citizen in the state, or majority of the citizens in the state, and house them due to the Jobs Creation and Protection Act. So to answer your question, Mr. Representative, we are definitely better off than we were 4 years ago.
Well, guess what? But all this welfare.
What would you look at that? We need to move on. Okay. So next.
Wait, before we move on, can I ask my opponent a question?
So what now?
You have, Mr. Representative, you have but as a representative, what have you accomplished for your? Have you done?
I've passed anti-gambling bills. I passed I've made it illegal to have an abortion except in certain cases. I've also decreased welfare, the amount of welfare people needed, because I believe it's just way too much welfare, and if there's way too much welfare, how will people be able to find work?
Wait, Representative, how did you pass all those bills when the House and the Senate's not even active, and you only proposed one bill, the National Parks Act?
Yeah, I proposed that bill partly because I want to protect.
That's not what he asked you.
Wolf.
But you're not getting the point. You didn't pass anything. The House and the Senate's not active.
Mr. Representative, everything you just said is completely false. As president, I have signed 3 bills. Well, so what you're saying is completely false. You have done nothing as representative.
Madam President, what are the 3 bills you passed?
I have.
Madam President.
I take it something probably had to happen, so we're gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Okay, that was a train wreck anyway. Do you feel?
What?
What?
What did you ask, Ron?
I
What
said,
did you ask?
what were the 3 bills that you passed?
No, we
The
really need to
Senate-
move on though.
Okay, I'll make this brief. The Senate and House were very inactive in the beginning of my term.
All due respect, but there was
And,
no House or Senate in the first year of your term. First 2 years, actually.
There was 3 seats in the Senate.
Well, it's not a full Senate, so it wasn't actually functioning.
I just forgot the names of the.
But anyways, talking dog, go ahead.
All right, we're moving on.
Seriously.
So, what do you think is your opponent's worst and their best quality? We'll begin with Jazier because you have the crappy mic.
I think. Now the question was, what are your opponent's best?
What are your opponent's best and worst qualities?
Untruthful in his service, his accomplishments. I think his best qualities, one of his best qualities, I could say, is he classifies as a good quality. But that's my answer.
All right, I honestly didn't understand a word you said.
Yeah, it's hard to hear you when.
Okay, so Mark, you go. You're funny.
Well, I think Jasir's best quality is she fights for the other side, but then I fight for my side of the argument. I think both Jasir and I are both fighters. We may have different ideologies, and we fight for those ideologies. I think the worst quality of hers, she's too far to the left to get elected or to get reelected.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
You say that you're representing the conservative part of America, but you're running as a Democrat. Don't you think you're running on the wrong side?
Actually, I'm running to realign the Democrats.
And how do you plan to do that?
By convincing the majority of Democrats to start voting conservative.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope, not anymore.
Yeah, I think your internet might be bad. Like I'm not sure.
I think
if
it's
your
the
mic
device.
or the device. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just you keep skipping out every time you try to say something important.
Yeah.
To the question earlier. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can I restate what I said to the question?
Go ahead. Hello?
What I said was is that he is untruthful in his service to the country and his accomplishments in the House. I think his best quality, as he said, is he fights for what he believes in. And that's
actually, I am very patriotic. I believe in this country. I'm just don't
Mr.
believe in the way this country is going.
And okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What about the direction and what exact policies are you concerned about, and why are you so concerned about those policies?
What I'm concerned about is I'm concerned about some person being on welfare for the rest of their lives and them not getting a job, and then them not being
I'm back.
look. Not only that, but how about the farmer from Idaho, or the farmer from Iowa, or the rancher from Texas, or how about the hunter in Montana?
Well,
Sounds like you're playing a game of Happy Families to me.
Oh, you're back.
I'm talking about conservative values. I'm talking about family values.
But what about those values are better? You said, well, conservatives like farmers and ranchers. What about this? What about this? But what? Can you go more into depth, please? Because I'm not exactly understanding your point of view.
What I'm talking about is we need to clean up our government. We need to clean up our government. We need to make it more honest. And if I get elected president, I'm going to veto any bill that expands welfare.
So vetoing is going into depth? I'm even more confused.
What I mean,
we're moving
This
on.
just sounds like a lot of rhetoric to me and very little policy.
Agreed.
Can I just interrupt, because I actually
wait, what happened to the timers?
No, I don't think so far we've done that. Mayowa and his policies, I think, is going to do anything that expands welfare.
Not only that, but I also want to help the farmer. I want to
I'm sorry, we are really moving on. We're not having this conversation anymore. It's stopping here, and I'm being serious.
Conversation every time.
No, we're stopping. Okay, so the next question I have is directed at everyone. How do you feel about, well, pretty much the entirety of Jazir Best's cabinet resigning from their positions, including me and Quran and everyone else? Mayowa, we'll start, then Mark, and then Jazir.
Wait,
I think it would only be fair if Jazir were to answer the question first, considering it is her cabinet.
Jazir, you could start.
Can you restate the question, please?
All right. How do you feel about your entire cabinet resigning?
How do you feel about your entire cabinet resigning?
Can you restate the question, please?
Oh my god.
Okay, how do you feel about your cabinet resigning?
I think I I think my cabinet are the active members of the, and I'm proud that they served in my cabinet, and I'm glad that they did. The Secretary of State, or former Secretary of State, Karan Stansbury, he did some things. Secretary of Health did things, and that they're doing.
All right, same
Hello.
question to Mayoa.
Thank you, moderators. Now, I could go on about how her whole entire cabinet resigning makes her look weak, makes her look unstable, but I don't want to sound like Theresa May. So I think we should just move on. I mean, I could talk about how it makes her look weak in Congress and how it will stop her passing legislation, and on the foreign stage too, it will prevent her from many negotiations. I could talk about that, but I'm not going to. I'd rather talk about policy and why my policy is better for the future of America. For example, our youth. Our youth is our very, very future, very near future, in fact. So, to help people create businesses and to help the local community around them, I would give $1,500 grants to youths, that would be people under the age of 30, with a clear vision for the community and those around them. I would give them $1,500 grants to help them set up a business and start it. This will help our country, will help our future. So there's an example. Unlike Mark, I could have just talked about rhetoric and weakness and instability upon end, but no, policy. Policy is what's going to help our country, not rhetoric. Thank you.
Oh, well, this is how I feel about her cabinet resigning. I feel like it adds more I feel like her cabinet resigning makes her, I agree with you, what's your name?
Mayoa is his name.
You said it, Mahoa. I think it makes sense. Agree with you on that.
Jesse, your camera's on.
I don't care, but okay.
Okay, so next question.
Yeah, definitely. Next question.
All right, so this is to all the candidates. What would your foreign policy be if you were elected president? What would you do to project America on the world stage?
I would
You would.
I would make our
I
foreign
would too.
policy about human rights above all else. So we would not support any government that abuses human rights.
Okay, Mayoa, same question.
Well, before I give you my answer, can I have a rebuttal to Mark Cole Anderson?
Yes.
You seem very, very interested in human rights, as am I, but without going onto the internet to look, could you give me all, or at least let's say 10 of the human rights as of the Human Rights Charter set out in the UN?
Well, there are 10 countries that I don't want to trade with until they get their act together. One is the Philippines under the Duterte administration, who kills innocent people. He kills innocent people. He tortures them, and stand by, just seeing what to do something. They need act, and we can't tolerate countries doing that type of stuff.
Okay. Mayo, what would your answer be to the question?
Well, personally, there's often this stupid idea thrown around that to gain more peace, we should go into war, which often strikes me as complete and utter hypocrisy.
Thank you.
So I believe the better things to do is we've got one. I don't condone the abuse of human rights whatsoever. And just to add, Mark seemed to avoid my human rights question, but I don't condone the abuse of human rights whatsoever. But at the same time, is the solution going to war with the countries who abuse the human rights? As it's probably going to make the situation worse off. For example, the Iraq War, what that did. Well, no, excuse me, no interrupting. The Iraq War, that created a massive, massive power vacuum, which just made the country worse off. Was Hussein a good leader? No, but the Iraq War opened a power vacuum which led to the rise of extremist groups such as ISIS. And if we go to war with countries across the world, this is going to happen anywhere that has the potential for a power vacuum. And that's just going to make the human rights situation worse in countries, which isn't what we want. We need to work with countries to make sure that they, like us, enforce a strong democracy so that human rights, as a result, can come through. Thank you.
Jazir, same question. It appears that Jazir is not in the call. She has her mic muted, so we will move on.
Wait, can I answer now?
Oh yeah, you can answer now.
I think, as both of my opponents have stated, the United States and me personally will not condone the abuse of human rights. I think to make peace between our nation and other nations, as Mayo said, war is not the answer, and it wasn't the answer for the Iraq War. I think we need to negotiate with other countries and their leaders. I need to even work with countries that don't necessarily agree with us, as we have before at the beginning of my term with the North and South Korea war or invasion. We've pulled our troops out of South Korea. And I think on a global stage, we need to make it heard that the United States does not condone the abuse of human rights, and that we will stand up and fight for human rights.
Okay, so I'd just like to have a response. Lots of you seem to be very, very, let's say, adamant about human rights and the importance of human rights, and I cannot agree more, and I can't stress how much I agree with that. However, our country has not signed on to the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which means that we go which means saying, oh, other countries aren't very good with human rights seems a bit hypocritical for me. Now, Mark didn't seem to answer my question about what some of listing 10 human rights. So I'm just going to give you an example of 10, Mark, just to get a little bit of education here, because education is very important for our future. So we're all born free and equal. We have the right to life, the right to not be in slavery, the right to not be in torture. You're all equal before the law. Your human rights are protected before the law. There cannot be no unfair detainment. You have a right to trial. You're always innocent till proven guilty. You have the right to privacy, freedom to move, the right to seek a safe place to live. Now, I could go on. There's more of that, but the point being, it's a bit hypocritical of criticizing other countries for not enforcing human rights when we don't sign on to the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's just plain hypocrisy. Thank you.
If I was elected president, I would have the United States into that declaration.
I'm glad you feel the same way as I do, Mark.
No.
If I could,
Speak.
I think not to attack any candidate or their views, but I think what my administration, the vice president, and I are working towards on our foreign policy will be great for the country and great for this earth. When our official foreign policy is released, Robert, after this, I gotta talk to you. But it's going to be an amazing thing. And I will most definitely take into consideration my opponent's views. Especially Mayowa's. He's made valid points during this and we'll
Okay, can we move on to the last few questions?
Yes, I think I agree. Let's do that.
All right, because we need to wrap this up.
Yes.
Okay, so this question would kind of exclude Jazir. Do you feel you have the experience to be president? And Jazir, I don't know. Do you feel you have the experience to continue being president? I would guess. Let's start with Mayowa, since you haven't been president yet.
Sorry, you want to start with me?
What?
You want to start with me?
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't tell if you said Mark or myself. So, some might criticize me for being, he's not experienced enough. Yes. Well, I think that is complete and utter. How do we keep this in the Queen's English? Caca. That's complete rubbish. The problem isn't about how many offices you hold, it's about your life experience. I've had plenty of experiences in life which will lead me to lead this country into a new future. And not to add, because I haven't been in office, which means I haven't been subject to many corporate corruption, which is evident throughout Washington, D.C., my campaign is a fresh start for America. Now, I know that's a shorter response, but I feel like it's all that needs to be said. So I guess it's Mark's turn.
Well, I've worked many jobs. I gained experience through that. I've had lots of experience in this world, in this country. I haven't been through any corporate scandals, and I also feel like I'll bring fresh new heat to Washington.
Okay.
But what both minds said, what any new politician in America would say. When I first ran for president, I was a newbie. I never served in office. I agree with Mayo. I do not think for a person to be experienced for president needs to be determined by the offices they've held. I think for someone to be qualified to be president, they need to show their qualifications through their campaign, meaning they need to show that they will stick with the to show they will stick it and against any corruption, any corporatism, any corporate Democrats or any corporate Republicans. And during my campaign, that's what we did. And Mark Anderson has repeatedly attacked me and the vice president for so-called being corporatist. He's called the vice president for corporation, but I don't think he understands what we are trying to do. As I stated in my campaign, we are waging an economic and political war. Our and our economic system definitely everyone. This is going to go over my time, but I've experienced homelessness, and it's a scary thing. It's frightening to wake up in the morning and to think, what are we going to eat? To think if we will even wake up the next morning or. But I think that qualifies me to continue being president. And that's why I took creating jobs very seriously. Like I said, we've experienced homelessness, and my mother was out of work for 13 months. And it was scary. And I understand the average American goes through. My mom longer shifts than she did 15 years ago. She gets paid less than the men on her job, and she gets criticized for her work. And I think that's absolutely disgraceful. We are in the year 2039 in America, and we need to move past that being stereotypes. In 2016, we fought these in 2012, and 04, and 08, and we've been fighting these since the existence of America, and it is time now that we put an end to it.
Well, I kind of feel like it's not the government's responsibility to interfere. Yes, I feel bad about it, but I feel like it's not the government's responsibility to do that.
All right, I think that's.
I have a question for Mark.
That's not even a question, Mark.
Okay, I have a question for Mark.
Can Mark answer the question I asked first?
Yes, I can.
Mark, why do you think you have the experience to be president?
I feel like I have the experience because I've had life experiences in working in being a responsible citizen and in in convincing people to join me in the conservative movement.
Wait. You say you're convincing people when you're polling like 12% in the polls.
Okay.
Let's not bring up
Conservative
polls. Let's not
movement.
bring up polls.
We're not even gonna discuss this. Mark, you didn't even answer my question.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Mark, you have repeatedly during this debate and throughout your campaign and that we are going in the wrong direction. I want you to read the policies that I've put forth and the legislation that we've proposed. And then I want you to honestly tell the American people and everyone to hear if you think the government is not going in the right direction. Because I think that because you are a direction because it's not going in the direction you want it to be in. And that's not how, well, that is how politics works. And that's disturbing. If you can't honestly admit that some of your policies are wrong, not saying that they are, but admit, then you are not United States.
Well, I think that people wouldn't believe in their policies if they thought they were wrong. I think the problem is that if you're not willing to compromise on certain issues, if you think this is the absolute right and this is the only absolute right, that's the problem. Because I'd be concerned if people didn't believe in the policies that they were proposing. Just to add on to your little point there.
Actually, I am willing to compromise, though.
What are you willing to compromise on?
Well, Mark, you say that you're willing to compromise during this debate, but you have made it seem that I am not willing to compromise, and I think that's disturbing. My former Secretary of Education, who's moderating this debate, is a moderate Democrat, and I'm a very progressive Democrat.
I'm a very, very conservative Democrat.
Oh, can we just stop with the political labels? Labels mean nothing. What matters is policies. For example, the legalization of marijuana. You might typically associate that with progressives. However, progressive is just such a broad term that it means absolutely nothing. The same with conservatives. Like, what is the definition?
I think, Mayoa, what you said is right. We need to stop talking about politics and focus on policy. Because like I said earlier, I prepared for this debate. I'm prepared for a second term. And I have policies that are here. And by talking politics and political ideology is preventing us from doing that. So I would ask the moderators if their next questions could be based on policies.
Yeah, I actually do have a question. So, going off what Mayoa just said, the legalization of marijuana. Do you support legalization, and what type of legalization would you support? I mean, would you push for it if elected president?
This is our last question.
Are we having who's going first?
I guess we'll start with Mark.
I will support the legalization of marijuana.
Okay.
You got anything to add to that? What type of legalization do you support? Medicinal, recreational? Are you going to be a bit more nuanced than?
I support both.
Both. So you support both the legalization and the legalization of both recreational and medicinal marijuana.
Yes.
I'm glad you agree with me. I'm glad that I've managed to pull you on a few issues towards my side of the argument.
I do. I the legalization of I think since this is our last question, right?
Yes, last question.
So now we can have an open discussion between the three of us.
Well, I haven't had my answer to the question. That was a rebuttal to Mark's.
Here.
So I completely and utterly support the legalization of medicinal and recreational marijuana. The thing about the legalization of medicinal marijuana is it can save thousands of lives. It can be put towards many treatments. One argument from anti-legalization, as I'm not sure what the quite correct term for them is, that, oh, well, it's a gateway drug. And there's just so many studies, if you simply do the research, that it just isn't a gateway drug. And in fact, there are multiple studies that show its effects aren't as bad in some ways as alcohol, and alcohol is legal. So there's a bit of hypocrisy going on there. Now, I'm disappointed in the president that despite calling herself very... Well, she said progressive, and I'd prefer to use the term social democratic in a common social democratic policy is legalization of marijuana. So I'm disappointed in her that she didn't manage to do it in her first term. However, I'm sure that I would manage to do it almost instantly. In fact, it is the first thing I would do when I come into office, because it will bring thousands of jobs to the economy, and it's something that can be taxed. So we fund vital services like healthcare, like our police department, like our fire department, that help the people. Thank you.
Do we give our closing statements now?
Unless if anyone wants to do an open floor debate real quick.
I would.
I have to go now, so I'll talk to you all later.
All right, let's close this. Closing statements.
Closing statements. Do you want to start with Mark since he's leaving?
Yeah, hurry up.
Okay, like I want to say, God bless you all, and God bless America.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
What about for the people that don't believe in God?
All right. Moving on. Just here we go.
I'd like to thank Mark and Mayo for joining me in this debate, and thank the moderators for moderating the debate. This debate didn't go as I would have liked to talk more about policy, and I understand I had the opportunity to do that, but I didn't. I think the reason you should elect me for a second term is simple. Progressive change deserves 4 more years. We can't get America away direct. Well, we can. And I will need more years, and I think it is imperative. But whoever wins this election, obviously, I will accept the results, and I hope to work whoever wins if I'm not the winner. But personally, Mayo, and I thank you for the campaign that we're leading. And Mark, I like you as a person, and I thank you for the campaign you're leading. Oh, and a politician. Sorry.
Yep. Mayo, go ahead.
My turn? Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank the moderators. I'd like to thank Karan, although he didn't moderate much, but I'd like to thank him for hosting it, and Robert and Talking Dog for moderating this debate, considering I didn't get it. That's a bit of echo. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for moderating. I just want to talk about 2 things at short notice. Well, not short notice, just for a short period of time. First of all, during this debate, I think it's shown that I can be a strong leader, not only on the domestic stage, but the world stage. I pulled many of the people in this debate over towards my opinion. Oh, and that's America. Towards my opinion. I pulled Mark over towards my opinion. He said he wasn't for human rights beforehand. Well, not. He wasn't for America signing on to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights beforehand, but he is now. I pulled him over towards the legalization of medicinal and recreational marijuana, which I think shows that I can be a strong voice on the world stage. But in terms of the domestic stage and how I will help Americans, I will make sure that young people have a voice in our country. They have been left behind. They have been laughed at time and time again. Now, my opponents have talked about representing progressives. My opponents have talked about representing conservatives. I've mentioned this before, but I want to make this clear one more time. I will represent all Americans. Thank you and good night.
All right. That's the end of it. Thank you guys for attending tonight's debate.
I want a link to this debate. It's going to be funny. What?
Yep, it is. I can see. Yep. Thank you for watching, and yeah.
All right.